Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing a reading wrap up for the month of June in 2025. This month I read a total of 7 books, one of which was an audiobook, all of the rest were digital or physical versions. I also read my 3 TBR jar books for this month, which I am super excited about because I wasn't sure if I was going to actually get around to reading those, but I did it. I got those 3 books knocked off of my TBR. Let's just get started. The first book that I read this month was The Guest List by Lucy Foley. This was one of the oldest books on my TBR, and I am so glad that I finally knocked it off. I didn't have a great history with Lucy Foley. I didn't love the other 2 books of hers that I read, but I did really enjoy this one. I thought that this was a pretty good simple thriller. The plot is a little bit predictable, but the twists are done in a very interesting way. The Guest List is a thriller about a wedding that takes place on a remote island in Ireland, and one of the guests is murdered. You follow 5 different POVs from 5 different people at the wedding. We have the bride, the +1, best man, wedding planner, and the bridesmaid. You do not know who has been murdered. You do not know who has done it. So you're flashing back and forth a little bit of before the murder as well as moments after the murder occurs while we try to figure out who did it and who died. I thought that this was a pretty simple, easy book, quick read. It flowed nicely. I enjoyed it in that it was quite predictable, but in a good way. I liked the predictability. It was exactly the kind of book I was looking for at that moment, actually. So it filled that space that I was looking for. If you want something really complicated and something really gripping and stressful, this is not going to be that book for you. But if you want something light and easy and like a popcorn thriller, I think that this is a good book for you. The next book that I finished is actually Oathbound by Tracey Deonn. Unfortunately, I just lent out my copy of Oathbound last night to a friend, so I only have the dust jacket with me, but I finally finished this book. Oathbound is the 3rd book in the Legendborn series, which is about a girl named Bree Matthews who has magic powers and is fighting demons, and it is based off of Knights of the Round Table, like Sir Arthur and Merlin and all of that. It is really quite interesting. I loved the first book. I wasn't a huge fan of the second book, but I still enjoyed myself enough to read the 3rd book. I did not like this book, which is really heartbreaking to say because, again, I loved Legendborn. I want nothing more than to love this book, particularly because Legendborn takes place in North Carolina at UNC, which is my rival university, but it's still a place that I've been to multiple times. I know the lore about it. I understand the cultural context. And not loving this book just really broke my heart. Some of my basic criticisms. Why was Bree so stupid? She wasn't dumb in the other books, but for some reason in this one, she just didn't think at all. She didn't think through any of her decisions or her choices and just was a menace to everybody in her life. I thought Nick was really boring, and I kind of didn't care about the plot. It's getting really convoluted and complicated to the point where it is genuinely just confusing, and I felt like there were a couple plot holes. Sel is the best character in these books, and he wasn't really in this one. Give me my boy, please. I would like to have Selwyn back. I will finish my criticism here. I actually filmed a reading vlog for this video that I'm currently working on, so if you would like more in-depth reviews on this book, that video is on its way. Just generally, I was quite disappointed. I will be finishing the series because this is the 3rd book. I'm obviously going to read the 4th one, but not my favorite. Love the first book. Still recommend the first book. Don't love the 3rd one. The next book that I read is actually one of my other TBR jar pulls for this month, and that was These Hollow Vows by Lexi Ryan. This was my pull for romantasy, and I'm really kind of trying to move on from romantasy this year because I feel like I have been bamboozled enough that I just don't like romantasy. I love fantasy and I love like politics and intrigue and all of that in my books. I don't really care about the romance most of the time. I ate this book up. This is like a 400 something page book and I read it in 2 days. I don't know what it is about this book that I enjoyed so much. I genuinely could not tell you. Little overview. This book is about a girl named Abriella or Bree, and she lives in the mortal world, in the human world, There is another Fae world associated with the human world, and the prince of the Fae kingdom is looking for his bride. And we have the two rival nations in the Fae kingdom. We have the Seelie court and the Unseelie court. The Seelie court prince is looking for a bride. The Unseelie court prince is just fucking about. There's a lot more politics involved in this book than I was anticipating going into it. I thought that the romance aspects were pretty well done. I thought that it was pretty fun. I didn't think that it was super unrealistic or silly. I had a good time. Honestly, I don't have that much to say. I just enjoyed this book. That's really all there is to it. Next book is again my other TBR jar pull for this month, and that was My Best Friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix. This is about two girls or best friends in high school. What are their names? Abby and Gretchen. And one of them gets possessed by the devil, a demon, etc. And it is about trying to cure Gretchen of her ailment, trying to maintain the friendship. It is about high school relationships and drama. There's a lot going on in this book. Also, Grady Hendrix writes sort of comedy horror, so it's very trope heavy, very much based on like films at the time that are revolving around, you know, satanic panic and things like that. I thought this was a pretty fun book. Not scary. This is a horror, but I wouldn't call this scary in any way. The scariest parts are the like body horror aspects, but even that I feel like isn't that common throughout this book. I just had a good time reading it. This is another one I don't really have any like super strong thoughts or opinions because I was just having a good time. It was just a pretty good book. I liked it. And the last physical book that I read this month was Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Oh my god, does everyone need to read this book? I am so annoyed that like no one else I know has read this book, because this is one of the best books I've ever read in my life. I know that I'm a little bit biased because Taylor Jenkins Reid is my favorite author. I own and have read every single one of her books, but she knocked it out of the park with this one. So a basic summary. This is about women joining the NASA program in the 1970s, 1980s. It is two dueling POVs of current day where the space shuttle is experiencing some mechanical malfunctions, and the past where the main characters are joining into the NASA program, and we watch them get to the point where they get to the space shuttle, right? I cried like a little baby reading this book. It was so good. My only criticism is there's a part in the middle of this book somewhere where the two main characters discuss religion, and it kind of goes on for a long time, and it's strange. I didn't think we needed it. That part was a little weird to me. That's the only part that stood out that I was like, why am I reading this? Why are we talking about religion for so many pages? It doesn't have anything to do with the story that's happening here. Other than that little like 2-page intermission in the middle that I wasn't a fan of, I loved every other aspect of this book. This is a like 6-star book for me. I cannot believe I am like the only person in the world who has read this. Obviously I'm not, but it feels like I am. So please read this book. Oh my god. The next book I read was actually my audiobook for this month, and that was The First to Die at the End by Adam Silvera. This is a prequel to They Both Die at the End, which was actually one of the very first books that I read in 2022 when I first got back into reading. I thought that They Both Die at the End was okay. It wasn't my favorite book I've ever read, but it has a really interesting concept. So basically in this world, there is a system, there is a company that will call you on the day that you are going to die. You don't know how you're going to die. It's sometime within that 24-hour period you are going to die. And it has like a 100% success rate. So we follow two main characters called Valentino and Orion. They meet on Valentino's first day in New York City, and Orion is a New York City native. It is the very first day of Deathcast existing in this world, and Valentino is the first ever Deathcaster. He is the first person to ever be called and be told his fate. And we follow their day together as they come to terms with this, as well as try to prevent Valentino's death and try to prove Deathcast wrong. It's pretty good. I thought as an audiobook, it was okay. I did not like the voice actor for Orion. I did not like his voice acting. It felt very monotone. The actual plot of the book, I thought that this was better than the original, the first book. They both die at the end. And I really love the world. I think the world of this is very interesting. This death cast system, I think it's really cool. And I just learned that there is, I believe, a sequel now, so there's 3 books, and I think I'm gonna go ahead and read that one as well, because again, I love this world, and this is also very interesting to see how this system like has grown and built and become what it is in, you know, the following book. Again, it wasn't my favorite book in the world, but I do think I would recommend it. I think if you think that the idea of the plot sounds interesting, this one I think is definitely going to catch your attention more than the original book will. I have 2 more books for this month. The next one is The Nature of Demons by J.D. Carmicle. This was an arc that I got from NetGalley. This is actually the first arc that I've ever read. I did not love this book. It was for a very particular audience, I think. So The Nature of Demons follows the main character Jacob Freeman, as him and his family try to survive this sort of apocalypse that has taken over the entire world, as far as we can tell. People are going crazy, people are fully losing their minds, people are becoming demons, people are becoming angels, and Jacob transforms into a sort of demon character in this book. And we follow him and his family as they travel, try to find other survivors, try to survive themselves. The idea of this book I think is really interesting, but there were some things about it I didn't love. Now, I will say, I do know that this is a horror book, and so, of course, I expected dark themes, I expected gore, I expected body horror, all of that. I wasn't surprised by any of that. I also am not a person who gets triggered by anything, so trigger warnings are not really a necessity for me. But it was a bit gratuitous. It was a bit egregious. There was so much violence just for the sake of violence. Like, there was no plot. After the first couple of pages where we understood that the crazy people who do not become demons are just crazy. They are attacking and killing people. They are doing what their heart desires in whatever way that is. If that is harming someone, if that is assaulting someone, if that is eating something or harming themselves or whatever it is, they're going to do it. And that sounds really interesting. And I understood after the first 100 pages that crazies are crazy, and crazies are going to hurt people and harm people, and they are going to do disgusting, awful, horrible things. I don't know why we needed so many descriptions of so many horrible things just to tell me that something is horrible. I know. I've been reading the book. I understood that. Particularly, there was a lot of mentions of violence against women. A lot. It wasn't graphic in the description of its violence towards women, but it was very heavily implied very often. We didn't need that. Because again, I understand. People are doing awful and horrible things. You don't need to describe to me how this woman is being assaulted for the 15th time. Also, didn't like a single character in this book. Not a single one. None of them are good people. They're all very annoying. They're all very dumb. Did not enjoy a single character. It also kind of sets up a sequel at the end. It's kind of open-ended. One more thing. I would love to have a little bit more lore and like a little bit more explanation of what's going on. And I understand that the main character doesn't know what's going on. So why would we? He should learn. Like his wife, Rebecca. His wife, Rebecca, is completely normal. She is not a demon. She's not an angel. She is not a crazy. She is a completely normal person. Why? Why is she normal? I feel like even the book doesn't discuss that often enough of why is she completely fine, but everybody else is some sort of monster or crazy. I don't understand that. And I would really like to, because again, the world I think is kind of interesting. But we don't get any answers. There's zero explanation. And again, I understand the main character doesn't have the answers. I would have liked a little bit of like him going on a journey to figure that out or something. It wasn't my favorite. This is again for a very particular kind of person, and it is not, I think, for most readers. I think most people, even a lot of horror readers, I don't think would really enjoy this book. Check trigger warnings and then try it out if it sounds interesting to you. And the last book I read for this month was The Silent Woman by Minka Kent. This was also a NetGalley arc. And actually, I was surprised to find out that this was a previously released book that is now being re-released. So there were already reviews, and it's been out for a couple of years already, actually. This was 100% a popcorn thriller. No thoughts needed, extremely predictable, but I was having a good time. It did exactly what you think it's going to do. This book is about our main character, Jade, who is recently married to a man named Wells. Wells is very rich, very wealthy, like LA native. His grandmother was some famous actress, I believe. So Wells's first wife, Sylvie, is living in the backyard after suffering a tragic accident where she is no longer able to communicate, hence Silent Woman. And that's it. And you're trying to figure out what happened to Sylvie. You're trying to figure out, is Wells a safe person you can trust? Is Jade crazy? Is Sylvie crazy? It's quite predictable, but it was a fun time. I don't have any major complaints from reading this book. It just is what it is. I think if you're looking for a quick and easy read, this will definitely do the job. It's nothing amazing. It wasn't the best book I've ever read by any means, but it was fine. I do think that in a couple of months, I will probably forget that I read this one, but it was good enough. So that is everything I read in the month of June of 2025. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you read any of these books, please let me know your thoughts and opinions. If you have any books that you think that I would like based on my reviews today, please let me know. And that is everything. I will see you in the next video. Bye bye!